Welcome back into the workshop. The update is all about this parallel arm, and I have now got the new rail in place. I've actually swapped out the custom wood one. That may go back in, but I've swapped out the aluminium for an aluminium rail, and this one I didn't cut as many holes in it as I did the first one. But the problem that I'd had has effectively gone away as far as the drilling goes. And it seems to be, and I'm going to make a fairly reasoned deduction, if you go easy on the drill, it will move wherever it wants to. And particularly, I was easing up on the handles, winding it down so that the swarf would break. And rather than having a one full length of swarf swirling around, I'd pulse the handle to wind it down. Now what I'm thinking is that if the drill can do what the drill wants, it will go wherever it wants. And it could just have that little bit of issue with the run out of the chuck itself, the quill. Now if that's true, then engaging the cutting teeth of the hole saw in the aluminium surface and keeping the pressure on it keeps the the teeth engaged in the metal and is effectively not self-centering, but it's stopping the oscillations. That's going to be my deduction, because every single hole that I cut with that little bit of extra pressure were tight. Therefore, that's what I'm assuming. And then as I was looking at it, eyeballing it, because I was, you could see the hole saw cutting quite nicely, let's say. Occasionally it would get a wee bit of, brrr, like it would chatter. That was the word, not brrr. Yeah. People love when other people make noises, don't they? Anyway, the chatter did occur occasionally, but still putting down the pressure seemed to have created a better cut, or at least the one where were required to use the reamer just over there to clear out the holes. That said, how did it go once installed? And the answer is not perfectly, but pretty darn close. Depending upon the hole, that just shows you I'm running up against the tolerances that I think are hard baked into the production of that steel bar. It's a bit of a puzzle, but, well, it's the only way it can be in my mind. Like the tiny, tiny little intolerances, variances in the laser cutting manifest itself so that I will never be able to create a series of holes, each with the same tolerance of location, sideways, or lateral or longitudinal or lineal measurement spacings. Tiny, tiny little variances, as I said, are hard baked into those rails. How do I know that? Well, when I put my spacers on, or the links rather, depending upon where I put them, I get ever so slightly different results. So some of those errant problems were down to bad luck and hard-baked in errors in the bars. I can't conclude anything else, because when I'm drilling them, when I put them in different positions, sometimes it's absolutely spot on, sometimes less so. Now, the critical part is, hang on, I can't move. Hang on, it's all gone and seized up. Oh no! Well, kind of deliberate. Before I was doing it, not this particular one, but I was sliding this backwards and forwards, and one of the pins dropped into the hole, and I couldn't move it, and it was like it's locked in. Well, what's that telling me? Well, that's telling me that the tolerances are pretty bloody good, because this one here has dropped into the hole, and that's the holes cut in the aluminium, holes cut in the arms, and this base rail, and the tops allow for a pin to be dropped in there. This is a no wriggle pin, by the way. It's literally no wriggle. So that to me is saying that combination of holes and pins, etc., is perfect, or as perfect as it's getting close to engineering perfect. So yeah, now the question is, can I get the thing out, and would other pins drop in place? Because just because it dropped in here, see, it's loosened up already, so it can move. So it's pretty accurate. Let's just see if we can pull that out. That's a lot of noise, isn't it? Ugh. Well, let's just leave that. Now, this is the wriggle pin. It's 1/10 of a millimetre smaller than the no wriggle pin. And this has been the standard that I've gone by. If this drops in these holes, yes. Oh, yes, that's a bit tighter. Yes. I haven't tried this before. Yes, that's dropping in. Yes, that's dropping in. Okay, so if that drops in there, can another one drop in? Another wriggle pin. Yep. So these holes, well, that one's tighter. Yes, it goes in. No wriggle. That shows that that hole in the MFT top is ever so slightly out. What is that amount? Less than 1/10 of a millimetre. So if I could probably slide that back down into the hole. This is now, because it was a wriggle pin, it should have a little bit of a wriggle. Oh, there it comes out, so it's not that hard. The tolerances are within 1/10 of a mil. That's enough. And no, even that fine tolerance isn't actually required for an MFT top, or an MFT style of top in this setup, in the Sketchy Builder pad setup. So hard baked in errors do cause those little discrepancies to appear when we're using, oh god, can't get that out. Let's see. When we are making a mechanism like this. But what is it really? Well, I can't show you how tight it gets here, but I can put a proxy in for tolerance. I can do that, and that is about the same spacing, so it is close to absolutely perfect. In other words, if I lift these pins up, they will both stay in place, and the tolerance is pretty fine, so that's a good thing. Swing it all the way around here, and it's out by a little bit, not much, but where's it gone? It's just the friction of the mechanisms, and any slop that is there, tolerance, at this end, and it is so small, as you can see there, it's gone. So the issues that we're having with the cosine or the sine error, which one it is, occurring, mean that any tiny little discrepancy at 90 degrees exaggerates as it comes down closer to parallel, as it is now. Show me where it is. And that's with the aluminium arm. So everything's working in my favour at the moment, but I did make a comment. I don't know whether I'll use the aluminium arm, excuse the cough, time of year, or put this one back in. I really don't know. So the beauty is I've got a choice, and if I wind up putting it back in, there is no downside if I need to put that in because it's longer. Yeah. So I'm now playing with tolerances that are outside my, how would you say? Yeah, outside my requirements. I don't need it for the top. Outside my capability to do much about, because, as I was saying, that combination of pivots means that it's close to engineering perfect. I put them in position like this before, so it's 90 degrees, to see whether there's much slop. And I can't really see, because normally you'll be able to see very tiny movement. I can't. I can just see it, only just. We'd be talking microns, honestly. In fact, I could probably get the dial indicator out, and yeah, that'll be microns. That's fractions of a millimeter. Like lower than a tenth of a mil. You can hear it rather than see it. Yeah, so that is absolutely, yeah, I'm quite, see there it looks like it's a long way out until you do that. So it's just that little bit of tolerance here. When it comes out here, there's virtually no tolerance that's I can pick up. So in other words, I'm very happy. Yeah. The tolerance seems to improve when I put the custom wood back in. Why? Friction. And that's why I was saying I'm not too certain whether I will keep the aluminium in this position or whether put the custom wood one back in, because that extra friction takes away that little wobble. all of that. How many weeks has this been? Jeez, hate to think. Anyway, that's about as far as I will go just now. Yeah, right, probably will make other videos, but as I said in the previous video, this is the next thing I need to address, and that's pretty straightforward, so it might get a video on it too, because its function is quite beneficial to the whole assembly thing. Rightio, anyway, that's it. Sunday afternoon, I'm going to wander off and catch you in the next video. Okay, bye now.